meeting fellow Toastmasters and our guest, Victor. I say C, you say Hawks, C, C. Yeah, I know you're all muted, but I could hear you. I could hear you. As most of you know, I'm a Seattle Seahawks fan. Have been since I was a kid. Living up in Vancouver, BC, we have always had access to King and Cairo and Como long before the days of sports-exclusive cable channels. As a result of that, the only NFL games we got to see on TV on Sundays were Seahawks games. And because of this, Western Canada is heavily populated with Seahawks fans like me. So it's not really surprising when I tell you that 10% of Seahawks season ticket holders are Canadian. And I've been one of them for 11 years now. 2 tickets in section 311. In fact, I was just in Seattle this past Sunday for the game against the Raiders. They lost. But it was still a great time at the game and being in your lovely city. So in Canada, ice hockey is king, the most popular professional sport. But there are 41 home games a year. I love your Mariners as well, but they have 81 home games a year. In football, there are only 8. So each year during the first few years that I had my Seahawks tickets, I have friends asking me all the time, when do I get to go to a game with you? Because there's only 8 games, I couldn't possibly accommodate all of the requests. So why am I sharing this with you when I'm supposed to be telling you about an event I've planned? My mom always said that to say that good things come to those who wait. So, well, thank you for waiting, I guess. You see, because I couldn't accommodate all my friends, I did the next best thing. I called my account rep and asked her for a solution. She asked me if I ever considered buying group tickets. I could do that. Apparently, I could buy a cluster of 20 more tickets to a game and take as many people as I wanted. How cool is that? Okay, I had to think for a second to confirm that, do I even have 20 friends? But once I established that I did, guys from different circles of my life, high school buddies, friends from basketball, friends from running, cousins, siblings, work colleagues, Toastmasters friends, it became officially road trip number 1. Game on. And at the end of September this year, I took a group of 22 guys, just guys, to Seattle for what we refer to as road trip number 9. The 9th time a crazy group of middle-aged Canadians made the trek south. And after 2 years of the pandemic keeping us out of your beautiful city, we were back in business. Now, each year, this event grows. It evolves just like we have. We're older, grayer, can't drink as much as we used to, but we all still know how to have a good time. You see, we now operate smarter, not harder. The day after the NFL released its schedule for the season back in late April, I called up my account rep and I informed him I'd like to get group tickets again. Let's find a game earlier in the season so it's warmer. In the past, we've been to games in November when it was as cold as it is today. About the only good thing about doing a road trip in November is that your beer stays cold when you're outside. Once I secured my 22 seats, I emailed the other 21 who joined the last time we organized a trip, asking for confirmation of their intent to join us for the September 25th weekend. These were the first 2 steps of the process. Now, guys organize their own rides down. Now, there are some cars full of those who have Nexus cards that get you across the border with no waits. There's always a car or 2 that have guys who don't have, or often is the case, can't get Nexus for a variety of reasons. The car I'm in is a Nexus car and is packed with all of the supplies for our tailgate party the next morning. It is our vehicle that will make the pit stops at Costco and a grocery store to pick up the food for the tailgate party, burgers, brats, buns, and beer, among other things. I assign my brother Doug each year to prepare our shopping list to ensure that nothing is forgotten. That's his strength, not mine. Organization and details. I give him our budget and away he goes. I'll never forget our first road trip 1, when we ate burgers without buns and potato salads without utensils. Like I said, we've evolved. Now, while we're talking about one of our road trip weekends, a very highly scientific and well planned out experience, All pieces must be intricately weaved together in order to pull it off at a high standard that we're used to. There are really three main components to it. Component number one is a Saturday night. Let's talk about that first. There are a handful of hard and fast rules that I have instituted over the years that all of the guys must abide by. My event, my rules. The first is that we all stay at the same hotel. Now, we've explored the idea of an Airbnb house for all of us to stay at, a nice big house, but they're always too far out of the city to make it worthwhile. One of my friends is a superhero when it comes to booking hotels. He knows where and how to find deals. So each year, Clark is happy to take on this task. And once I have the game date, I let him know, and he owns it. That's another task offloaded onto somebody else's hands, somebody that I can trust. Delegation with any sort of event planning is the key. Teamwork is the dream work. We all arrive at the hotel around 3 p.m. to check in, and we spend the afternoon catching up, having adult beverages or 10, and building up excitement for the weekend. And of course, we're all in our Seahawks attire. Another rule I have is that we all must be together for the Saturday night dinner. Now, I don't care what everyone does after dinner, but for a few hours over dinner, it's my rule that we hang together. I ask my brother-in-law each year to take on this responsibility, choosing and reserving a place for 22 guys to enjoy dinner together on a Saturday night. Now, Tom is really good at this, and he enjoys it too. He tries to mix it up. He always has done a great job. So this year, he booked us at a ping pong bar. Who knew that they existed? 2 hours of ping pong food and unlimited drinks. We had an epic ping pong tournament. I didn't fare too well with the server who continued to bring me a steady stream of Moscow mules and gin and tonics. I think at a certain point of the tournament, I swear I was starting to see 3 balls coming at me, so I just tried to hit the ball in the middle. As late as Saturday night usually goes, about 5 of us are up at 5:30 to head down to the area we always tailgate in. I'm one of those guys. This is component number 2, the tailgate party. We set up our grills and barbecues, get some coffee on, set up canopies, tables, lawn chairs, Seahawks flags, fire pits, and we start getting breakfast prepared for those early birds. Another rule I have in place is that everybody must, regardless of how difficult it is or how difficult their Saturday night was, they must show up by 9:30. That way we get to hold the boys' weekend away theme, and we get to hang out for 3 hours before we head to the stadium. Now, when I say that all the boys manage to show up by 9:30, I'm not suggesting for a second that they're all in the best shape. In fact, very few are. But that's okay. It's one of the reasons why we have a social media blackout for the weekend. It's why there's no slideshow for this speech today. Nobody needs to see us at our worst. You know, what happens in Seattle stays in Seattle. Once we finish up our tailgate lunch around noon, we start cleaning up, packing up our stuff, and we all head to the stadium. So component number 3 is the game. And the truth is, over the years on these road trips, it's become less about the game itself. It's really the excuse to go down to Seattle each year for this silly tradition that turns 10 years old next year. Really, it has become more about the Saturday night bonding and the Sunday morning tailgate experience. Yeah, sure, the game is a reason we end up doing this trip every year, but it truly has become more of a means to an end. It's not unlike my Thursday night basketball, which is really now an excuse for the beer afterwards. Or like my Sunday morning runs with friends, it's about social time and the coffee afterwards. It's an event worth all of the hard work. But as you can see, I've decided to work smarter, not harder. Several different people have specific responsibilities. Delegation. What it actually does is lets those with special skills shine in order to take some of the workload off me, have purpose, contribute, and let others enjoy. It doesn't really matter what kind of event one plans and executes. Planning, organization, processes, and teamwork are the core of its success. It's much like Toastmasters. Everyone has a role, and the success of the meeting depends on that. No one person can or should do everything. So fellow Toastmasters, Road Trip 9 is in the books. As silly as it all sounds, it's an event that takes much coordination, hard work, and teamwork. Fellow Toastmasters, Road Trip 10 goes next fall. Who's in? Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.